Last summer was my first summer as a knitter in Florida, and I quickly realized that just because something is labeled as a summer knit does not mean it's actually practical for living in Satan's sauna. So this year, I am going to try to be a little bit more intentional about my summer knits to handle this crazy sunshine and humidity. So today I'm going to take you through some of the concepts and ideas I look for in a summer knit. So let's head on back inside before I melt to the ground to go through. All right, we are back inside in the beautiful air conditioning. Thank goodness for air conditioning. It is absolutely the time of year where I tend to avoid going outside. I move from one air-conditioned location to another with as little interaction with the heat and humidity as I possibly can. For reference, the highs have been, I think, about 95. It's May. So, super fun, let me tell you. So today I thought it would be a great time to kind of go through some summer knits. And what I have come to the conclusion is a good summer knit for me personally. Living in Florida where the humidity is practically 100% and the sun is literally always shining. Like, we are the sunshine city in the sunshine state for a reason. We have 365 days of sunshine. Whether or not it rains, the sun will still be out. So this year, I really want to be more intentional with the items that I am knitting and creating. I want them to be things that I can actually wear when I go out with friends, when I do things, whether it's spending a lot of time outside or not. I want to be able to wear the things that I make. So I'm focusing a lot on summer fibers and certain silhouettes and patterns that I personally find myself gravitating towards in ready-to-wear clothing. So we are going to kind of look into a couple different categories, whether it's t-shirts, tank tops, items that would actually work really well in an air-conditioned office, because I do work a 9-to-5 corporate day job. And these are things that I'm actually think I'm going to reach for in my day-to-day living in Florida. And the biggest thing that I have realized in prepping for summer knitting and wearing the things that I knit last year is I kind of do prefer smaller, more fitted garments to wear in the summer. So these are my, what I would call, tiny little tanks. I think, and if I look down, it's because I have my notes written out of these different tank tops and all that stuff on my laptop. So that's why I'm not consistently looking at the screen. So I definitely prefer in my tank top, similar to this ready-to-wear one that I have on right now, I prefer more negative ease in my tank tops. In my opinion, the less fabric that exists, the cooler it feels. And I don't want to have to wear layers underneath my clothing, because in Florida, the more layers, the warmer you're gonna feel. You want to be able to wear just your tank top and that's kind of it. A bra, if possible. I personally am someone who kind of requires bras in the majority of the clothing that I wear. So a lot of my knits that I gravitate towards, that I've made before, they kind of have to be bra friendly. And I do like a feminine silhouette that still feels wearable. At my heart, I am a bit of a girly girl. So in my tank tops, I like something that feels a little bit more girly and feminine, because a lot of my ready-to-wear is that more basic masculine, well, not masculine, but a bit more of a basic look that I can then work with. All right, so I have, I think, 3 tank top patterns that I think kind of fall into this category for me. And the first is the Vera top. So for me, this is actually a pretty wearable summer top. It is a little bit tighter, a little bit more negative ease. Your shoulders are open, your back has space, but there's still enough fabric on the back that I could wear a strapless bra and have that support in the top. It has a very polished minimalism vibe. The cross in the front of the neckline for the halter, which then goes into the straps that go down your back. In my opinion, that gives it a little bit of an elevation while still being very basic. It's super simple styling wise, and it feels like something I would actually wear pretty regularly if I had it in my wardrobe. It really does feel like a staple wardrobe piece that I could wear and use. Especially if it was knit in something like, I'm currently, spoiler alert, I'm actually currently knitting this top, and I'm using the cotton linen wool. So I think that something like that is a very practical use for it. And generally what turns out to be about a one skein project. So it would be a great project for a couple yarns that you might have that are a little bit more special. The next top on my list is the camisole number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is absolutely elevated basic energy. So it is at its core feminine but understated, in my opinion, top. I have quite a bit of ready to wear tops that are very similar to this. So to me, it is something that I think I could super elevate. I can wear it with jeans. I can wear it with nice pants, depending on the color of the fabric. I think it's a very wardrobe staple that will stand the test of time, and depending on with what fabric I knit it with, would be a fantastic summer piece. And it's also quite bra friendly, which, as we know, is an important aspect for me. And the final one in my tiny little tank top roundup is the outline tank. So as I noted, I like a little bit of feminine. I love a good lacy tank at the end of the day. I love a lace pattern, all of that kind of stuff. And I feel like the outline tank by Jessie Made Designs is a very nice balance between that little bit of detail and also practicality. So it's not so lacy that I wouldn't be able to wear a bra under it, but it still has those details, and that lets in a little bit of extra airflow. So even if it's not as tight of a fitting garment, it still has that little bit of extra flow that is allowed. And I think it's a very modern, very on-trend, stylish knitting pattern. But here's the thing. That's how I feel about tank tops. When it comes to t-shirts, I'm actually the complete opposite. My t-shirt preference, especially in the summer, is big drapey tops. I do not want any restrictive sleeves. I have to pause for leaf blower. I'm not 100% sure if you guys can hear it, but he does occasionally get kind of close to the window, so I think it gets louder when that happens. Sorry about that. Okay, I think we're good now. Alrighty, let's see where I was. I was talking about t-shirts. So for me, the more oversized the fit, the better. Airflow matters in t-shirts. For me, because it's more coverage of fabric, I need it to be not restricting and touching me, and I need there to be some airflow coming in. And that kind of aligns with not wanting restrictive sleeves or necklines. I prefer a V-neck or a looser crew neck, and I definitely prefer oversized sleeves in my t-shirts in the summer. Oh, time to pause again. there can't really be that much to leaf blow. Okay, cool. So when it comes to summer in Florida, I definitely want more drape than structure in my t-shirts. I want it to be something flowy that moves and not such a thick and structured fabric that is going to trap in that heat. So oversized silhouettes and pieces that feel effortless are really going to lean into that. So a couple, I think I have two patterns for you in the t-shirt category. So the first is the Tolsta tee. I know it doesn't necessarily look oversized on the sample pattern, but I really do think it could be made to be very oversized, and it feels very simple in a good way. It's highly customizable. And in a plant fiber, I think it would look fantastic. I think a good cotton would look really good on this. It's not trying too hard, and it's something that I could easily reach for on a daily basis. The second one I have is the tee number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So it definitely has that oversized, relaxed proportions feel to it. It has that minimalistic Scandi design, and it's very draped focused. So it's polished without being too structured. It looks like something that could be a very expensive basic if made with the right fabric in the right way. I think something maybe like, I mean, obviously cotton would look really good, but if you did it in like a silk blend, a silk linen blend, it could really lend itself to being a staple piece. And then from the t-shirts, it leads us into what I would like to call my emotional support layers, because even though I live in Florida, it's hot all the time. As I stated at the beginning of the video, I'm often moving from one air-conditioned location to another with as little time outside as possible. And if you live in Florida, or if you live in another hot climate, you know that people like to overcompensate with the air conditioning, because you're coming in from 95 degrees, super humid heat to a location where they're like, let's freeze you as quickly as possible to adjust your body temperature, let's regulate you out. That can very easily turn into freezing, especially in the workplace. So sometimes you just need that layer. I have quite a few layers in my office at my desk there. And honestly, sometimes you need a little break from plant fiber knitting. If you've knit with plant fibers before, you know they tend to be a little harsher. There's not as much give to them. So sometimes you just need a little bit of a break from that. And then also, we're knitters. We do it for the emotional comfort of it. And sometimes that is just a cozy wool knit. So with that in mind, here are a couple emotional support layers, something that I could use in a movie theater or in my office, or just over a ready-to-wear tiny little tank top. So we're gonna start with the Darcy cape. I think it's a fantastic kind of drapey layer for the office. While the pattern originally has a full turtleneck, I would probably modify to not have a turtleneck, just because I think that's a little extreme for a summer knit, but it is a ideal office piece, and it's not as overwhelming of a knit as something like a cardigan or a sweater, because it is just two fabrics. You're doing two little flaps, and then you could just throw it on and you're good to go. It definitely gives a tiny layer of comfort, soft drama kind of vibe. The next thing I have on my list is the Crumpet cardigan by, the Darcy cape was by Lay Knit. So then the Crumpet cardigan is by Park and Knit. And this is more of that soft, feminine summer overlayer. This is one that you could actually probably get away with wearing in the summer heat over a tiny little tank top. It's romantic. It can be realistic indoors while also realistic in that transitional period from air conditioning to air conditioning. And it's cozy without a full full sweater commitment. It would probably look great in a plant fiber or in a non-plant fiber. So that's a good one. And then another item I think is excellent as that AC layer would be vests. So on my list, I have the vest number 8 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. So a slip over a vest, it's a great thing. It makes a lot of sense in Florida, especially for an office environment. When you're walking into your office, you're not wearing sleeves, so you're not super overwhelmed. But once you're in there, it still gives you that core warmth that you're looking for. It's not restrictive, and it's a great layering piece. You can wear it over t-shirts, like a nice baggy t-shirt. It's not as bulky. It does still give you that cozy feeling, like I said, that core warmth without feeling like you're overheating. So those were my emotional support layers. So now we're gonna move into patterns that I love the aesthetic, and it really gives summer knitting, but might not be the most practical in a location like Florida. So the patterns in this category, or what I would consider these knits, are beautiful but realistically impractical. And this often has more of that romantic summer knitting delusion, very airy, lacy pieces, but it becomes a problem because you do have to layer. You can't just wear it in its own. You would need to wear a tank top under it or something over it. And it's very has that tension between the aesthetic that you want of being like a summer pixie princess versus the actual climate, which is as little clothing as possible without exposing yourself. So in that is the sister to the Crumpet cardigan, or which is the Crumpet camisole by Park and Knit. So this tank top is so cute. I am probably going to knit it, even though it is quite impractical. It's so romantic. It gives you picnic princess, pixie fairy in the woods, having a little crumpet, as the Crumpet cardigan is, with a glass of tea while you talk about, you know, beautiful, whimsical things. Visually, it's the perfect summer knit. However, the bra logistics, it's see-through. It's an all-over lace knit. It is see-through. You can't wear a bra with it. Layering complications. Okay, so you can't just wear it as its own. What are you going to put under it? Are you going to put another tank top? I might wear like a tube top under it. Would you put it over a t-shirt? It really would lend itself to that kind of thing. So it's a knit that you would think, this is the perfect thing to wear if I'm going to be outside a lot. But to make it a practical wear, you would have to wear something else under it, which then negates the wearing it outside a lot, because it looks like it would be perfect for that. And in extreme humidity, adding in those layerings, it might become a bit impractical. The next one is a very similar knit. It is the Tansy tank. It also has that dreamy styling, that romantic open lace vibe, very summery. You'd wear it to a picnic. You might wear it to the beach kind of thing. But it still is less realistic for everyday wear and might require more layers and styling. And the final pattern I have in this particular category is the Sea Breeze sweater vest. So this is honestly only practical if you're using it as a beach cover-up. At the end of the day, you need to wear a tank top under it. It's very open gauge, but it is that peak coastal summer aesthetic. If you are someone who goes to the beach all the time, this would be a perfect knit in a linen, in a cotton, something that you can wear, get sand all over, and then throw in the washing machine. It is that kind of vibe. Personally, I don't go to the beach all that often. I kind of actually hate the beach. Don't tell beach people, I promise. I just don't like it. I'm not a beach person. I don't like the sand. I don't like salt water. I don't like feeling sticky and gross. So it really would be, it's that Pinterest beach girl vibe aesthetic that you would think would work really well in Florida, but only if you're doing a certain type of Florida. Everyday Florida, no, it's similar where it's very open gauge. It's very holey. You would have to wear layers. And then the layers is where you get hot. And then because it's also a t-shirt, you have those layers, and then you're also going to be covered on your arms, which might not necessarily be an issue for most people, but as we discussed earlier, I don't like feeling like my arms and neck are constricted in the summer. So, as you can tell, I have definitely figured out a little bit more about what I like in the summer, what I don't like in the summer when it comes to knitting and knitting patterns. However, I'm really still trying to figure it out. This is only my second... Teddy, do you have something to say too, buddy? Sorry, we had to pause for Cat. Teddy had some things to say. As I was saying, this is only my second summer knitting still. I'm figuring out my preferences of fabrics. I'm figuring out what it takes to make a realistic handmade wardrobe for myself. I'm trying to balance, practicality, what I would wear, what would make sense in this weather for the things that I'm out doing and the places that I'm going. Like if we're going to an outdoor brewery, or, we're going to a restaurant, there's no inside seating, so it's outdoor seating, that kind of thing. I really am trying to find that balance between what makes sense and what I like the look of and the vibe that I'm going for. And I really want to make pieces that I'm genuinely going to be reaching for, that I don't have to be like, oh, I have to wear this now kind of vibe, or that would work only in the 3 weeks of spring that we get in February, So I'm trying to really capture those vibes with these knitted garments, and this is what I'm taking as my basis and my playbook, I guess would be a good way, going into this summer knitting season. Now, I need to figure out what I can actually make from the yarn, which I already own. And that might be a bit of a harder challenge. So in my next video, what I might call part 2 in a little mini series of summer knits, is me going through my stash and trying to pair the summer yarns and the summer fibers that I currently have with some of the patterns mentioned in this video, or a little bit more. So if you're interested in that, please do stick around. I hope you would like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your ideal knitting pattern for the summer looks like based off of where you live. If you also live in a hot climate and you've been knitting for a longer time than I have been, please let me know what you have found works. So thank you so much for coming along on this journey with me today, and I will see you in the next one, where we definitely do a little stash dive and a little pairing, a little mixing and matching. So thank you so much for being here, and I hope you guys are having a lovely summer.